What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. My name is Blaiden Kirk, and I'm joined, as always, by the two greatest co-hosts of all time, in Matthew Spawnhour and Theo Ash. How are you guys today?
Football Sunday, Packers have won, couldn't be better.
Panthers lost, but Cincinnati's doing well. I'm rocking the Geno Smith jersey in honor of Geno Smith starting today for the first time in 4 years. So,
why do you have that jersey? Was it just a big Geno Smith guy back in the day?
I found it at Goodwill for $2.
Oh, okay. So, fair enough.
And I'm like, well, this is like a stitched jersey. It's $2.
Yeah, I would.
And I know the player.
I'm gonna turn it down. And as always, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a review, all the great things that you've been doing to help grow this podcast on all platforms. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow at StayHotPod on TikTok for some great content there as well. We just hit 75,000 followers today. We're closing in on 100K. Maybe we'll do a giveaway. Maybe we'll release merch. Maybe we'll visit a city. Who knows? But today was filled with a bunch of action from week 6. And Theo, you wanted to talk about Dallas and Trevon Diggs because there's a bunch of narratives surrounding him. Why don't you kind of take it away?
Every year there seems to be some random player that just like gets randomly slandered when they're playing well. Like maybe DK Metcalf last year, just like out of the blue having a super great season, and all of a sudden like no one can give him any credit. Like there's just some guys that just attract negative attention like that. And this year it's been Trevon Diggs, and through 6 weeks now, he's clearly the defensive player of the year. Clearly, in my opinion, like if the season ended now, and there's a long way to go, but I've never seen anyone get off to a start like this. A cornerback, like defensive lineman, and like what he's done so far is incredible. And I've seen a bunch of like fake stats. I know Clutch Points on Instagram posted a graphic that said he was like leading the league in penalties. And I looked it up, and as far as I could tell, that wasn't true. As far as I can tell, the claim that he's like on pace to give up the most yards ever isn't true. Like, I'm not sure why people are just kind of making things up when it comes. Actually, I am sure it's because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. That's what it is. But I'm sure Cowboys fans are getting sick of seeing it because, I mean, the dude week in and week out is making game-changing plays. And, I mean, he's got the best catch radius for a corner that I've maybe ever seen. It's stupid. And he's closing in on the record for most picks in a season. And if he breaks that, I don't care how many
we're
yards
6 games in.
Yeah.
And he's closing in on a record that stood for like 70 years.
Interception records are very hard to match now because quarterbacks don't throw interceptions like they did. Numbers 14. He's got 7 right now. He has 11 more games to go. In a division that doesn't have great quarterbacks.
Yeah, hurts.
I'm going to be very disappointed if we're going through all this for him to end up with like 11. He's got to, if he doesn't at least tie it, I'm going to be mad.
I mean, the dude is what, 6'2". He was an elite wide receiver in high school, like elite. I think he got recruited to Alabama as a wide receiver. That's how good he was.
He said he cried when Nick Saban made him change to corner.
And it was a rough I mean, actually, well, as far as transitions go, I mean, he got drafted in the second round as a corner, but I mean, he got burned in college a decent amount. He only got drafted in the second round because of the athletic and size and ball skill ability. Technique wise, he was kind of a mess, and his rookie year was kind of a mess. He got burned plenty of times. And then this year, I mean, all those gambles that he takes is paying off in spades, and he's the reason why the Cowboys are what they are right now. He's been fantastic. And
I've said before about Diggs, I think last year, and I liked him a lot in college. I thought last year he looked a lot how he did at Alabama. And then this year, I think he's looked like a totally different player. I think he's totally changed his game for the better, obviously. And he just doesn't look like he plays the same. I think he's less aggressive, like especially at the line, trying to jam receivers out of their mind. And I think that's made the difference. I think it's just him being a little more patient.
The funny part about it, because Sam Darnold was picked off twice by him, and Panthers fans are like, okay, well, the first one was his fault, but the second one, there's nothing he could do about it, and it was just like a route that Trevon Diggs just jumped, and he did it so well. People are like, what are you going to do about it? So he's ridiculous. He's on another level.
He beat DJ Moore.
That's how he got that pick six on Hurts.
He
just
beat DJ Moore
so well.
Yeah, and a lot of them. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, some of them you'll be like, man, that is tough. I would have thrown that if I was in the football.
And a lot of picks for him don't look that special. Like, oh, it just went right into his, like one of the Darnold picks just kind of went right to him. But like most corners just don't catch the easy ones. Like how many dropped picks do you see from corners? It's a lot. So he just kind of just catches the easy ones as well as making some really difficult catches. And that's something that, at the time it's like, well, yeah, maybe you should catch that. But corners just don't have those kind of ball skills. And he's been really special.
He just looks like a receiver. So every pass that goes to him looks easy. How many corners can you think of that are just like 5'8"? Right? Like that's a drastically different catch for a 5'8" guy than a 6'2" guy.
Yeah, he's super tall. He's got great ball skills, and it's all coming together for him right now. And we'll see if Marcus Peters is the comparison you hear from all the time. And I think that there's some validity there. And Marcus Peters' career has been kind of up and down in terms of his consistency season to season. And maybe you'll see that with Diggs. But right now, credit where it's due. I don't know if he'll upkeep it for the whole season or for his whole career. But right now, he's been the defensive player of the year. And I wouldn't really argue for anyone else. And if Clutch Points or whatever other organization is saying that, he's been burned a couple times, though, so far he's more than made up for it.
Anything that is not just like a straight counting stat, I would be a little bit skeptical of if I see it. Because it's like giving up a yard is almost kind of an opinion.
It is.
Like
it's
in
very
zone
much
coverage,
an opinion.
like who gave up that yard? It's tough to say.
Yeah. And you can look at Sports Info Solutions, Pro Football Focus, Pro Football Reference, and I guarantee you all three of those have very different numbers on how many different yards he gave up. Player Profiler.
They do. I've looked.
Yeah, very different. So it is kind of an opinion. And in my opinion, Diggs has played very well. So, and Dak in this game also played incredibly well.
The entirety of the Cowboys. Let's just say that most of the Dallas Cowboys have looked awesome.
Yeah, Dak, this game, he had a pick early, but I mean, with the game on the line, he was making big play after big play, and the Cowboys' offensive line, Zach Martin is still in it. Looks like he's in his prime, and Tyron Smith has come back as good as ever. And by the end of this Cowboys-Patriots game, the Patriots' defensive line was just gassed, going against that offensive line, play after play after play. They're kicking your ass. It's exhausting. And by overtime, the Cowboys got the ball first, and Judon and the rest of the Patriots defensive line was just visibly fatigued. And, Dak made him pay. CD made him pay. Dalton Schultz, Amari Cooper, and they scored a touchdown to win the game. Crazy game, though. Credit to Mac Jones as well. He played well in this game. But, mostly I was impressed with Dak and Trevon Diggs, the two stars of the Cowboys so far.
You know who I was not impressed with today?
The Cleveland Browns, perhaps?
Bingo. And what sucks is I actually spent most of this game listening to it because I was driving back from Columbus to Miami, Ohio. I went home to watch my sister play rugby, and then I'm driving back listening to most of this game. And when I tell you it is the saddest drive I've ever had in my entire life, like,
the Browns had some pretty sad drives as well. There were some very sad drives from the Browns.
I just have to sit here and listen to Jim Donovan be like, Baker Mayfield drops back and he's sacked and he fumbles and Kyler Murray drops back and DeAndre Hopkins is wide open. When I say he's wide open, he didn't have a Brown jersey within 10 yards. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what are we doing?
I'm not sure that the Browns secondary knows what they're doing because they are always it's not that they're not talented. It's that they're just always out of position all the time. And again, I haven't gone and watched the all 22, but maybe I will. I feel like I asked you last week. Did you think it was more the certain players making mistakes and not being talented enough, or was it more of a scheme thing? I think you told me it was more of a scheme thing.
I mean, it's a miscommunication. That it's like schemes are schemes. Cover 4 is something everyone runs. And if the safety bites,
calling the wrong
when I say scheme, I mean
wrong scenario.
You know what I mean? I don't mean like, oh, you ran cover 3 and then someone was wide open. I mean like more of a mental error than
it wasn't so much guys were just like physically out, like they were in man coverage and they just couldn't hang. There was just some like errors with a guy would come down on a an out route and then the post was wide open. Like it was stuff like that more than they being overmatched.
I'll
in
give
man
you an
coverage.
example. The Cardinals ran this like scissors pattern with a deep post and a deep corner, and then on the outside they had a hitch route, real short hitch. Corner bit on the hitch, corner was wide open, safety couldn't get there in time, touchdown. There was one example of a physical mismatch where they would, any time where Greedy Williams was lined up on AJ Green, they threw to AJ Green. Because Greedy Williams, as fast as he is not strong enough to hang with AJ Green.
Blaiden, what is your level?
Green kind of balling?
He is kind of balling.
No,
and
balling.
They've got a very well-rounded wide receiving core. I always love wide receiving cores with diversity in body types and styles. And they've got Rondale, AJ Green, Kirk, and D-Hop, all kind of very
Christian
different.
Kirk has been cooking.
Very different players at very different stages of their careers, and they all complement each other well. And I love that wide receiving core. They also just traded for
really
Ertz,
good.
which is interesting. I don't have too many thoughts on that deal, but after Max
like
Williams' injury, I like it a decent amount too.
I think they're a team that is very obviously competing now. It's a win now move. It's not anything crazy, but I can respect them.
It doesn't hurt their team to add
it's not gonna be
Zach
bad.
Ertz.
Yes, and Blaiden, I want to get your level of concern, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, that the Browns miss the playoffs.
Just like for the Browns.
Yeah, just we're missing the
God.
playoffs. What is that thought started to creep in your mind? That scenario?
I mean, I've seen people on Twitter talk about it, and the only reason that would creep into my head is that we have one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. Our schedule is brutal from start to finish. I mean, week 1, we played the Chiefs, lost. We just went Chargers, Cardinals back-to-back, lost both of them. Denver's not an impossible game, but they're not a pushover team.
That's a big
then we
one.
go, right, we have Denver, Pittsburgh. The Bengals have been playing well. Then we go to Foxborough. Then we have the Lions. So we get maybe a break, but the Ravens struggled against the Lions, given Hollywood Brown dropped 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Then we have the Ravens we go at Baltimore. Then Baltimore comes to Cleveland back-to-back weeks.
What?
Then we have the Raiders.
That can't be right.
Well, I think we have the bye in between.
Okay, that's bizarre. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, but like in back-to-back games, we go Baltimore, which is going to be weird. That's going to be weird. Then we have the Raiders. Then we play the Packers on Christmas. Then we play the Steelers and the Bengals again. Like, it's a tough schedule. It really is. I don't think we missed the playoffs, but it's definitely like. No. I saw a video. I stitched a video today talking about. Someone was talking about how the NFL is wide open as it's ever been, but it's always wide open, right? I think the NFL is the best league for parity of any sports.
I'm looking at it right now. You got the 4 division winners, and then you've got ahead of you Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, Bengals. That's 5 teams, 3 spots. Hopefully. I mean, that's 3 AFC West teams. You got to figure they eat each other alive a little bit. Or maybe you can finish in front of the Ravens. Season's still young, but there's no guarantee they make the playoffs right now.
No,
I
it's
think
not
they
a
will, but
guarantee.
it's no guarantee.
Yeah,
I mean coming into the season, it was our division to lose. And
I do want to give credit to the Cardinals, not necessarily on how they played today, even though they did play very well today, but how they have built this team, because it wasn't just that, they got the number 1 pick in a year where the quarterback was a really good player. It's like they got lucky that way. And they've just drafted well. It's more than that. Most teams would not have had the guts to draft a quarterback number 1 overall the year after they just drafted one.
I thought they wouldn't do it. I thought there was no way. I mean, I'm lucky I didn't have TikTok during that time, because I would have gone on record saying there is no chance that they move on from Rosen that fast. And they did. And credit to them.
They were so right to do it. They were so right. They got their coach and they said, this is the better fit. This is the better player. Let's move on. And they were 100% right.
And they got a good pick. They got a 2nd-round pick for Rosen, I think. And Rosen is worth a nothing pick. He sucks.
Yeah, I was saying
the DeAndre Hopkins trade was fantastic, and I know people want to chalk that up to the Texans being dumb, and they were being dumb, but there are 31 other teams, or 30 other teams, I guess, who would be willing to make that move. And the Cardinals are the ones who actually got it done. They deserve credit for that. They brought in J.J. Watt. They've done a lot of really, really good things.
Yeah. Rodney Hudson, James Conner.
I wanted to mention today. I was watching.
They got him for nothing.
Really good.
They got him for like $1 million, like $1 million, like almost. That's about as low as a contract as you'll see, and they really needed an element of power, and they got that for dirt cheap.
It's not even just that their offense they run or some of their defensive players like Isaiah Simmons are forward thinking. I think they've got a forward thinking front office, at least with some of the moves that I've seen.
And AJ Green, I thought he was total. If I was a GM, I would not have touched AJ Green with a 10-foot pole after last year. And they got him on a cheap deal, and he's been a real difference maker for them. And
he cooked us today.
Yeah, and the free agency is a naturally inefficient way to build a team because you have to pay players that other teams don't want, like huge contracts. It's just kind of inefficient. But every Super Bowl team has free agents that were kind of cheap deals that have overperformed them. Like you do need free agents. You just need a bunch of good like deals. And the Cardinals have made those good, cheap deals and really been efficient in free agency, which is very hard to do. Byron Murphy has developed really nicely. The Kyler thing was a big swing and a big hit out of the park. I agree. Their front office has been one of the best in the league recently.
Yes.
And we just played them. And
what other games happened today that you guys
Baltimore, staying in the AFC North. I want to talk a little bit about Baltimore because they made a statement. Yeah, and this was a game that I saw coming a little bit because this is a lot of bit. I did kind of say exactly.
I was about to say you trashed their.
I told you exactly how this game was. I told you exactly how this game was going to go, and when I said the Chargers were overrated on TikTok before the season, the reason why I said that is just because their defense just doesn't have the horsepower sometimes, and Brandon Staley has them playing hard. Against the Chiefs, they were just swarming them. They forced a ton of fumbles, and you could tell they were just physically and mentally I'm my ball, and they were really playing hard. But against a team like the Ravens, they just don't have the horsepower against the run. You got, Jerry Tillery, who is just not an anchor, and a bunch of guys kind of like that on the defensive line. The linebackers are pretty mid, and they have one of the worst run defenses in the league going into this week. And the Ravens took advantage of that and ran all over them, just obliterated them on the ground. And, sometimes you can play with all the heart and soul you want, but, you run into a more talented team with just as much heart and soul, and you're getting steamrolled. So, it was a game that really kind of exposed, I think, the big flaw in the San Diego Chargers that other teams, and there's not a lot of teams that can exploit that hole like the Browns and the Ravens can, because those are two of the best running teams in football. So it may not be a huge problem the rest of the year because having a bad run defense isn't the worst thing to have, especially when your quarterback is so good. But it is a problem, and it really reared its ugly head today for them. And the Ravens, I mean, they have just stacking up quality wins right now. It's crazy.
Scares me because we play them in back-to-back weeks.
Yes, it should. And you can't have never beat them. They always beat the Browns.
Yeah, it's not a good spot to be in. But no, the Ravens are playing very good. And, part of me, obviously hates it as a Browns fan, but as a Lamar fan, I love it.
Yeah.
Because all the Lamar haters are like, oh, he can't win.
We're not that far removed
running
from
quarterbacks
Baker
will never win.
Lamar takes getting 1,000 likes on my timeline. So
yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Lamar or Burrow better than Lamar was on my timeline very recently, and I don't want this to be taken as too much Burrow disrespect, even coming from me. But no, okay, sorry, no. Lamar is that guy, and they should be maybe the number 1 overall seed in the AFC right now. Them and the Bills are looking like the favorites. The Chiefs, however, they got off to a slow start today, but they did pull it together. They bounced back and they won 31-13. And I kind of think that the Taylor Heineke experiment, the hype surrounding that, should subside a little bit here because
I hate to bring this up, but they need a quarterback.
Oh boy, I wonder where this is going.
He's vaccinated.
Cam Newton is vaccinated, and I'm pretty sure he knows Ron Rivera. So.
He does know Ron Rivera. That would be very interesting. He might have his
number. Yeah, it'd be more interesting than running out here with. I mean, God bless Taylor Heineke. He's actually not that bad. He's just not a starter.
Yeah, he's not got the arm strength. Like, I talk a lot about arm strength. Heineke just does not have elite arm strength, and I think he knows what he's doing. I don't think he's the dumbest quarterback out there. He makes some nice decisions, but he just doesn't have a lot of zip on the ball. And athletically, I mean, he came from Old Dominion. Most Old Dominion quarterbacks are not physical freaks, and he is definitely not that.
Name one other Old Dominion quarterback.
I don't know, but I guarantee you they're not physically dominant. I don't know. He's a fun little story, and he's capable of playing well because he does make smart decisions, but he's just not quite there with the arm strength.
Here's the thing. Is he significantly better than like Geno Smith?
No, he's not significantly better than anyone. He's a good backup, but he's not significantly better than anyone.
Yeah.
He's a nice backup.
Probably he's top tier backup.
He's good at something, which is something a lot of backups aren't good at. And he's got some moxie and
some moxie.
He's got some moxie. He's got that it factor.
Right. He's got some
He
grit.
just wins. He just wins. Actually, he doesn't just win.
But yeah, it was nice to see the Chiefs get kind of back on track after a brutal start to the schedule, appropriately dealing with a team with not nearly as much talent as they do. So we'll see if they can kind of keep up the 31-13 wins, although they did get off to a bad start this week. But, the defense definitely needed a performance where they allowed like 13 points. It would have been very, as concerning as the Chiefs defense has been.
I saw one clip where Tyrann Mathieu, for like a frame, you can see puts his hands up in disgust.
He does that every game. He does that multiple times every game. It's hilarious.
I assume what's the other safety? Sorensen?
Yeah.
No, I assume it was him that got beat. Sorensen got benched, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got benched.
He should, yeah.
They should have done that to Sendejo last year.
I can't think of his name. Thornwell, maybe? Something like that.
Thornhill.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Thornhill probably should have been playing this whole time. He's very good as kind of, he's a decent safety. He's a lot better than Sorensen. Sorensen played a really good game in the playoffs a couple years ago where he kind of did everything. He was like a big impact on special teams, made I can't remember exactly the game, but he was a really huge impact player for the Chiefs in that game. And I think he's kind of been riding that high. And last week it kind of ended. But anyway, the Chiefs are still a playoff team, in my opinion. I locked them this week over Washington. And I have this weird relationship with the Chiefs where I kind of am pessimistic and also optimistic about them at the same time, where it's like, I do think this is the worst iteration of them that we've seen. And this is the year that they kind of need to win the Super Bowl before the Mahomes contract really balloons. And I don't know if they're quite at the level they need to be at for this to be a dynasty. So I'm pessimistic in that way, but I'm optimistic in like I still think that they can dominate.
They're better than they've looked now, but they're worse than they've looked before.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes. It's a weird Chiefs team, and I'm interested to see what I mean. They're still a team that can beat anyone at any time, and against a team like Washington.
I still just don't understand why you lock them against
Washington because it's Washington. It's Washington. They are going to be if they lose to Washington there's a major problem.
Has like a bad pass defense right now, and
a bad quarterback.
It's just like
I mean,
I just
the
don't
Chiefs
trust
had a couple dumb plays,
now.
and they still won 31-13.
Yeah,
right. Like this could have been a 30, or 40 something. 13 blowout.
Yeah, if they lose to a bad defense and a bad quarterback, like that's a chance I'm willing to take that they're not going to do that. But anyway, I don't think the Chiefs are quite like completely back on track. Like they're going to cruise to the Super Bowl like they have the past 2 years, but it was a nice it was a nice little second half there to be like, okay, defense maybe now has a little bit more confidence going forward. They're playing a lot less tough teams. So Chiefs, looking good.
I'm watching this Seahawks Steelers game.
What's going on?
30 left.
Setting up they just set up a Geno Smith game-winning drive.
If the Steelers win this game,
20.
if the Steelers win this game, are the Browns last in the division?
That'd be nuts. I would have never seen that coming. I can't lie.
6 games into the season, they'd be tied for last at 3-3 if the Steelers win this. Obviously, there's still some time left on the clock, but I want to talk about Diontae Johnson in the Steelers game. Holy cow, is he a target magnet? And he had a bad drop a little bit ago, but before that, and really this whole season, I said before that I think he's the most talented player of the Steelers trio: Claypool, Juju, and Diontae Johnson. I think he's the best one. And I've been really impressed with him so far this year, and he's cleaned up the drops a little bit. Really good route runner, really good after the catch. And I talk about A.J. Brown as someone who puts it all together, and he's kind of had a disappointing season. But Diontae Johnson has kind of had the season that I thought A.J. Brown would have, and so has Deebo Samuel. Those are two guys where it's like underrated players, I think. Maybe you can make a very good argument for top 10 with either of them with the way they put everything together in the wide receiver position. So shout out Diontae Johnson tonight. That's all I want to say.
Can we do a shout out Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
Or shout out Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's playing well this year. Carson Wentz had a good game. And here's the thing, right? I locked the Colts against the Texans, and I said, had the Colts, instead of playing Lamar Jackson, had they been playing Davis Mills, they would have won. And lo and behold, they play Davis Mills, and they win, because Davis Mills is garbage. I don't care. I don't care that he had a good game against the Patriots. The Patriots have been doing this thing this year where they just play to the level of their competition. That's what I figured out. They just play to the level of the competition. So I'm done locking against the Patriots this year.
It seems like they play a little bit below the level of their competition.
I get, a little bit below, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they're playing close games with the Texans, but then they're also playing close games with the Cowboys. So it's like, and obviously the Cowboys are significantly better than the Texans.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I don't know. All I know is that some people thought it was a questionable pick to lock the Colts. I don't know why. I felt like the Colts was a pretty no-brainer. And they also had the largest spread of the week. Yeah,
I probably should have done that. I don't know. The Texans just played the Colts, or the Texans just played the Patriots pretty tough, and the Colts are a 1-win team. So I was like, kind of, and that one win was against the Dolphins, and I kind of want to talk about the Dolphins as well, because they are one bad fumble away from being winless this year, and they don't have a first round pick. The Eagles might have 3 picks inside the top 10, their own, the Colts, and the Dolphins. They might have 3 first round picks inside the top 10 for the Eagles. That's pretty insane.
I think the Colts I think are a little bit better than their record shows.
Probably. I don't know if that ends as a top 10 pick, but it's probably going to be in the top half of the league. I mean, they're 2-4 right now?
2-4. So I think they can get above. I think they can get above 500.
Spending a first round draft pick to pick a different high end receiver is bad. That is bad management.
Really bad GM. We talked about the Arizona Cardinals earlier and their GMs, and now we talk about the Dolphins and trading way up for Waddle instead of Devontae Smith, picking Tua over Herbert.
If you're going to trade up, because I mean, that point you're spending multiple first round draft picks on a receiver. It's tough for any player to be worth multiple first round draft picks. Just from a salary cap standpoint, okay, I've given up 2 firsts, and now he needs to, even if he's great, you don't get the advantage that you would get if you got 2 really good players on first round picks. So even with the money not lining up, the offensive line is pitiful.
Yeah. For Austin Miami. Jackson is so bad. Just one of the worst starters in the league, hands down. And he was a first round pick recently.
So I wonder, I mean, how much longer do you think Flores has?
I don't know. The fact they have 2 offensive coordinators right now is just kind of weird to me. Like, if it worked, that would be one thing. But like the fact that it's not
an
really
unserious team does.
Right. It's just not the fact that it's not working just makes it seem like, okay, like what are you doing
too hard?
They are trying too hard. Like you took this big risk and just you made a severe miscalculation. I get like what is going on in that building. And as if you're a player, it's like, who's in charge? Like, who do I answer to? Like, there's so many people where it's like, am I in charge? Is Flores in charge? Is this offensive coordinator or that offensive or the GMs? It's like, there's too many people and the players have got to be like, okay. And the players didn't vote Tua as captain. So it's like, do they really have much conviction with their franchise quarterback? Do they know who the leaders are? Flores had 2 really bad challenges in a row, like literally back to back and won neither of them. And then he didn't take a timeout at the end of the game when he probably should have. They let the clock run down, and they were allowed to take a field goal.
Flores' game management is some of the worst I've ever seen.
It's really
pitiful.
It was really bad today.
The only thing that is saving his skin right now is his crafty blitzes, his Belichick-like blitz schemes. Like I said before, we just praised the Cardinals for taking a quarterback the year after they took a quarterback.
That's a good point.
I said in the draft, like during draft time, I said the Dolphins should have done the same thing.
Well, would you? I don't know if they'd be any better with Justin Fields right now.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe not, because their O-line is still so bad. It really is. But you're feeling maybe a little bit better about the future with Justin Fields than you are with Tua.
They also, I'm trying to think exactly what they did, because they traded back and then they traded up again. Remember that? I'm trying to remember exactly what they got out of that, but it's just bad.
They traded back to 12, right? And then they traded up,
and then they traded back up
or something.
So I don't know what they're doing. The Dolphins are just a mess right now.
They do have a first. We're dumb. They do have a first round draft pick next year.
Yes, but it's not their own. It's someone else's.
And there's a big.
It's the 49ers, isn't it? Because the 49ers traded up for Lance. So they have the 49ers first round pick. But their own first round pick is probably going to be a little bit better than the 49ers first round pick. So they traded. They were 3, right? No, they weren't that high. No, they were 3 because they had the Texans. They had the Texans first round pick because of the Laramie Tunsil deal. So they were top 3 and they had another pick later. They then traded back from 3, the Texans pick. They went back and they got the 49ers first round pick the next year. Then they traded back up to the Eagles with their original, so the Eagles have their first round pick.
Management. Take your 3 first round draft picks, or I don't know if they'd be better right now, but Trey Lance would have been cool long term.
I'm just saying, even like the Kyler pick, it didn't work out right away. But you play the long game. You play the long game with a guy who is exceptionally talented and gives you some form of hope versus this guy who can't really push the ball downfield and really isn't as smart as you thought he was.
Tua had a play. It was 3rd and 2, and he was running towards the sticks, and it looked like he had a really easy first down to just if he just would have kept it and ran. And he fired a ball up the left sideline. It was just totally inaccurate. He had a pick that went just directly to the corner in the flat. I think he was trying to take a cover 2 hole shot, and the corner just. He threw it right to the.
I think it was like either a deep out or a deep corner, and he just threw it flat.
Yeah, he just threw it right to the corner. He did have a really nice drive in this game. He had a really nice drive, and immediately after the 3rd and 2, the bad play on the 3rd and 2, he had a really nice shot. But you got to eliminate the dumb mistakes with him, and you got to beat the Jaguars on the longest, the second longest losing streak in American football history.
We're good. No, not even on the. You got to beat the Jaguars. That's the sentence. You just got to beat the Jaguars, bro.
So I don't know what that team does going forward, but
there's a lot of weird things with the Dolphins, and you can't feel good about them if you're a fan, just because it's
I see Dolphins. We follow. I don't know if I follow Elite Takes on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
and I just see this dude. I'm like, I feel so bad. I think I'm having a bad time as a Browns fan. This dude is in pain.
Yeah. So we'll see how much longer Flores lasts. He was really impressive last. I mean, they went from one of the bottom feeders lowest team in the league in DVOA, just a disaster. And they pulled it together and went 10-6 last year. And the defense really was creative. But this year it's been really bad. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think what was impressive with Flores was how he transformed a defense that wasn't super talented, and he was able to create with that. But the offense has just been atrocious. Even last year,
the defense hasn't exactly been good, dude. It's also been
the defense this year has not been.
I agree with you. Flores was good last year. We were both on the same page, pretty much.
Yeah,
I think
I love Flores. Flores was my guy.
But no, the defense has been.
I thought he was a coach of the year nominee. That was legitimately my guy.
Did you pick him?
I can't
for coach
defend
of the
this.
year?
This is bad. What?
Did you pick him for coach of the year this year?
He was no, my dark horse was Cliff Kingsbury, and that's aging very well.
Yes. I want to talk a little bit about Raiders versus Broncos and just interim head coaches, man. They just win. Week 1, they just win every time. And the Cardinals had a backup to the backup play caller calling plays because Cliff Kingsbury had COVID. And the Raiders, in the fallout of the John Gruden resignation, really beat down the Broncos. I'm telling you, interim head coaches provide such a boost for their team. Everyone in that organization just gets turned up for a little bit when their head coach gets fired and the interim is in. It doesn't last a very long time, I don't think. But that first game without your normal head coach, everyone is just extra locked in, I think. It's crazy how that works because it seems like it happens every single time.
Teddy Bridgewater, 4 turnovers today.
Brutal.
Not good.
Matt's I don't want to say I told you so, but
oh no, I had people telling me about Teddy Bridgewater.
I mean,
after
Matt is
game.
the number one Teddy Bridgewater hater I know. Everyone else thinks he's pretty average, but Matt,
here's the thing. Teddy is not a bad guy, so I don't really hate him. But it does bother me a little bit that we're paying him $17 million to go play for another team. And him being the guy to replace Cam was that was never going to work in his favor. So
yeah,
he gets a little bit of a bad beat. But I always think it's funny. Teams will have below average quarterbacks. They'll lose a game. You go check the stats, and it's he had 50 pass attempts. I don't know about that, man. Maybe keep it on the ground a little bit more. I like Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon right now. They're a fun duo. And they ran well. But our Broncos picks are making me a little bit nervous at the moment. The Raiders need to stop being good. Chiefs need to stop being good, or they might be last in that division.
Yeah, they very well might be. It's looking rough right now. They got off to such a good start. And that was kind of the plan is they'll make hay over the first half of the season. And then when it starts getting tough, they'll fall off. But that kind of anticipated wins against the Steelers and wins against the Raiders here today because it does not get any easier than the start, and they're kind of choking the start.
Broncos Browns is
game-tying drive.
Broncos Browns next week, Fraud Bowl. Fraud Bowl 2.0.
Hold on. Seahawks just tied it up at the end of the 4th. We're going to overtime. Geno Smith game-tying drive.
Man, so many overtimes in this week. This has been crazy.
This is the third.
Is it? Today. I thought it was a little bit more. There was the London game and this game, and there was the Vikings game and the Cowboys game. It's the 4th.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I forgot about the London game. Yeah, you're right.
Yes. It's the 4th game to go to overtime today.
Speaking of the London game, I know we were talking about the Fraud Bowl next week, but, Trevor Lawrence looked pretty good.
I would rather have Trevor Lawrence than Baker Mayfield. If I was starting
get off the call.
I would. I would rather have Trevor Lawrence than Baker Mayfield. I really would. And he's not a perfect quarterback right now. In fact, he's probably kind of a bad one right now. But I think his poise is unreal. And I think he's got probably a more talented arm than Baker. Sorry, I know that he threw it out of the end zone. Oh, he had PFF's longest throw last year. He has. How can you say he has a weak arm? He had the longest throw. Kadarius Toney can throw it 80 yards in the air. So I think that it's a little bit more.
I will say I watched Trevor make this one pass where he pump faked it into the flat and then turned his body and immediately threw it across his body. And I'm like, that's Mahomes stuff. Only Mahomes is doing that.
I think he's going to have a Josh Allen jump one of these years because I think he needs a true X receiver like Josh Allen got in Diggs.
I think they also need to get Urban Meyer out of there.
I think Urban Meyer is not the guy that is going to lead them. He's not.
Mm-mm.
You listen to him after they lose in a press conference, and this is my Urban Meyer impression. Yeah, we just, I don't know. I'm just sad that for guys that we lost. Like, he's just like mumbling and sad. He's not positive. I'm reading Bill Walsh's book that I got from the ASU library, Finding a Winning Edge. It costs like $500.
You need to send me the rest of that, Theo.
Really good book. And it's like he lists all the things that he feels makes a good coach. And I'm looking down him and it's like, don't be a distraction. Hold yourself accountable. And it's like, oh, Urban Meyer does none of these things. Urban Meyer is he's not being positive. It's like, oh, this checklist is not Urban Meyer. But I think that he needs a wide receiver who can really win reliably and has good hands. I think like the Jaguars are going to have a really good draft pick. And I might invest in a wide receiver and try to give him like the guy that Josh Allen got in Diggs. Because I think Lawrence and Josh Allen are not super dissimilar players. I think that they both are tall, good runners, huge arms. I think that he needs
a guy you have in mind, Theo.
I like Burks from Arkansas, from what I've seen. Maybe someone like him, but I haven't done a ton of scouting. But I thought they had a pretty good wide receiving core going into the year with Jones and Chark.
Marvin
and
Jones
LaVisca.
Has been better than I thought he would be.
They have a bunch of guys who are all
It's a
right.
bunch of number twos. It's a bunch of number twos.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like Josh Allen in 2019 when he had like Beasley and like John Brown. It's like those are some okay guys, but they're number twos. You need a true good X, and I think that's who I would invest in if I was the Jaguars. I would try to find some way to give that to Lawrence because I really think Lawrence is good.
Geno Smith to Tyler Lockett. Yo, they're like if they could win this, like Geno Smith MVP narrative is like coming together.
Yeah,
like
playoffs,
ironically.
Seahawks playoff take. Come on, age well. Matt, do you want to talk about college football a little bit? Blaiden, college football. I think we've exhausted what I want to talk about in the NFL. Kadarius Toney got hurt on the MetLife turf today. First drive, hurt on the MetLife turf, exactly like I said he would. It's brutal play style for that turf. Anyway, that's now.
What's
I'll
wrong
throw it
with
over
the
to college
turf?
football.
What like?
They get hurt. It's brutal turf. People get hurt all the time. I don't know what's wrong with it. It just happens.
Yeah, that's weird. Huh. Well, Matt, Cincinnati.
Number 2.
Oh, we're a Georgia loss away from Cincinnati being the best team in college football.
Unfortunately, Georgia will certainly not be losing to anybody this year. Oh my God.
Called it.
You know, calling Georgia being great a few weeks into the season is not the craziest hot take in the world.
No, it's not the craziest hot take, but like it was a hot take to say they were better than Bama, which is what my big thing was. Yeah. Is like Alabama was the one legit team that everyone was talking about, and mine was like Georgia's better. I think it was a decently hot take.
But
anyway, it was a hot take to me.
I need Georgia. At this point, I guess I don't care. But I want Georgia to be good and beat Bama. They need to, or Cincinnati might not make the playoffs. I was at the Cincinnati game. It was awesome. That team rules. They just bullied UCF. They had a really great pick six.
Number 24, your running back is so shifty.
Jerome Ford. Yeah, he's a baller.
Jerome Ford. That dude, when he cuts, it's like
he's got places to be.
Do you remember Dobbins against I think it was against Army, where he would just like immediately cut and he'd be back at full speed right away.
I don't
That's
know
what
if
it
Ford
felt
is,
like.
is quite Dobbins level, but I do think
I'm not saying Dobbins level, but it's like he cuts and he can just hit that gear again and just get right back up to full speed. It's so nice to watch.
I wonder if the Cincinnati head coach will be getting NFL calls after this year.
His son plays for the team, and I don't want to hear anything about that. I'm worried about the LSU job more than anything.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, Fickle leaving is making me nervous. He ran it back this year because Ritter came back, and this is kind of the team. But next year is definitely going to be a reload year. I can't imagine we're just going to be right where we are now.
One thing that could – oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I talk too much. You talk.
Cincinnati – whatever, we talk about them all the time. They basically just took care of their business. You know who didn't take care of their business? Iowa. Oh my God, dude.
Their quarterback is so hilariously bad. It's so funny.
There's blowing a dumb game. It's like that happens. Every team who has ever existed in college football has blown a dumb game. It's like on the road, division opponent, conference
against
opponent.
Purdue, you're number 2 ranked. Yeah.
But no, Iowa didn't like get beat on some bullshit tough. They didn't quite pull out the game. They were at home to unranked Purdue, and they just lost. They just were not as good as Purdue. That David Bell, oh my God. He was killing them. And Iowa has, their defense is great, but they are built like an old school Big Ten team, and those teams just do not work anymore. You can't be that bad on offense. Your quarterback can't be that bad.
Potentially like the worst starting 5 quarterbacks. And Wisconsin has it too with Graham Mertz, where it's just like your quarterback is so bad. It's like you cannot run the gauntlet of college football.
The worst quarterback play that I saw this weekend was Cal. Cal against what is his name? Chase Garbers. That dude can't play at all.
This man is a bona fide scrub. I'm sorry. Just tell everybody the truth.
He can't play. No,
his hands are small. He can't hold on to the ball.
I swear to God, if Cal had literally anyone else at quarterback, like Matt, you could have gone out there and probably played better. I refuse to believe otherwise. That dude sold the bag so hard against Oregon. I've never seen that happen in my entire life.
Looking good.
Oregon looking a little fraudulent as well.
No, Cal should have beat Cal could have blown out Oregon. Their receivers are better.
Probably. I won't lie. I am not the expert on Cal football. Gun to my head. Name like 5 players for Cal. I can't.
No, I can't name. No.
But there's probably a reason why they're 1-5, and their only win, looking at it, is the Sacramento State Hornets, and they won 42-30.
Bro, why are we trashing Sacramento? No.
So
Blaiden loves Sacramento for some reason.
It's a great city, man.
This is some stay hot lore. Is when we were in Vegas, Blaiden would not shut up about He must have mentioned the city of Sacramento like at least 24 times. It was.
I'm either moving to Sacramento, San Diego, Cleveland. Yeah, those are pretty much it.
Yeah, there's like that's like saying, "Oh, I want a cheese stick. I want a Lunchable, or I want a $70 steak."
What's your favorite city then?
Mine? I love New Orleans. New Orleans was awesome when I went there, and I need to go there again now that I'm 21 because I couldn't get into any of the jazz clubs. But Bourbon Street, just jazz everywhere. I like the swamp. I was on a swamp tour. There were like alligators everywhere. If you guys don't know, I love reptiles. I'm convinced that I could beat an alligator in a fight, which is a take that I've had. I saw a guy stuff one and beat one with a garbage can. He like just rolled up on it. And
I saw that.
I don't think alligators are as hard to beat as LSU showed us this weekend. Alligators are not as hard to beat as people think they are. But I like New Orleans a lot. I also like Minneapolis a lot.
We're going to hear one day that Theo got eaten by an alligator trying to like wrestle with it.
Yeah, how confident are you in this? Because are you if I'm like, let's say we're walking along and all of a sudden we see an alligator, I'm challenging you on this.
Yeah, it depends on how big the alligator. I'm talking one like maybe the size of me, and I'm 6'4", like not a huge alligator that like dwarfs me. I'm not. So
it's gotta be like in your weight class,
like an alligator in my weight class. I don't think on land, like not in the water. I think I could jump on its back and hold its mouth shut. I think I could jump on its back. I do.
Breaking news: Theo Ash NFL gets eaten by an alligator.
I'm definitely gonna die. Of the 3 of us, I'm gonna die in the most interesting way. This is a given.
I feel like I'm going to either die peacefully in my sleep or I'm going to be assassinated.
Who would care?
Yo.
If anyone's getting assassinated, it's me.
It's Theo. He's got more enemies than anybody I know.
The Steelers are in field goal range.
Just don't go to like Athens, Ohio. You might not be safe there.
I might not be safe.
They love Joe Burrow.
Zach himself, your Bengals friend, is loading the clip, and if he sees me, he's giving me a drive-by.
He's ready to end you right now.
Speaking of alligators getting beat, I want to talk a little bit about LSU and Big Coach O. Go Tigers. Got let go. And, to me, he always gave like strength coach vibes. He never really seemed like someone who was at the cutting edge of college football, like ingenuity. And I can't imagine he was like the greatest communicator because I can't understand what he's saying half the time. So I wonder, once Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson and Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and all these guys left, it doesn't surprise me that he was let go because he never really seemed like one of the elite minds in college football. But it was surprising to see him let go after a big upset win.
Steelers won.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. For the Browns, at least.
It's more unfortunate for the Geno Smith MVP narrative, but yes, also very unfortunate for the Browns.
Geno Smith narrative's in the mud. Oklahoma looks good, unfortunately.
I love their new quarterback, Caleb Williams. I love him.
Had how many FBS teams got him one score, couldn't put him away, couldn't quite get him, and now it's too late.
Yep.
Teams had their chance to get him with Rattler, and it's probably too late now. They're a good team. They're not really any different than they've ever been before. They're still not, an Alabama-level team from what I've seen from them so far or whatever, but they are very good. Or like a Georgia-level team, I guess. I don't know if I trust Alabama anymore.
I think I would trust Alabama against most teams.
I don't trust Alabama at all anymore.
I like Caleb Williams a lot. That guy came in and he really did he kind of gave me Rodgers vibes, which is something I hate because Zach Wilson got compared to Rodgers and Mahomes a million times. And you should just never compare anyone to Rodgers and Mahomes. But, at the college level, he came in and really looked like he was comfortable off script, came in and gave everyone like an instant boost. And again, it doesn't take that long to identify top tier talent. I think it kind of pops off the screen. And to me, he kind of popped off the screen. And I'm really excited to watch his career unfold at the illustrious passing attack of Oklahoma.
It'll be interesting to see. I think I would still take Cincinnati over Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
I think I would.
I wonder if Caleb Williams can make a Heisman run here in 7 games. That is something I think it's possible.
That's just enough of the Oklahoma quarterbacks we get.
You're right. And I made this impassioned argument a couple weeks ago that like everyone, would you rather see another Alabama?
There's no give Heisman to Gardner. Give it to Sauce. He's the best player on my favorite team, so he's the Heisman.
Best player on your favorite team. That would go to at ASU. Yeah, Jack Jones. Go ahead and take that Heisman trophy, my man.
I'm sorry. I can't get over it. I gotta appreciate it while it's a thing. I'm looking at the rankings right now. Cincinnati 2, just nuts, just crazy. How are they this good? And they're really that good. I really think they're awesome. They might not actually be the second best team. Yeah, there might be like 2 other teams they'd lose to, but still, they're up there. I don't think there's 4 teams better than them, and it's awesome.
Congratulations, Matt. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, because I need something to go my way because I think I'm last in the locks right now. Right? We do our Stay Hot locks. I'm probably last place in that.
You are.
And I know now Theo's ahead by a few points. I'm not going to get too aggressive, but eventually I'll get too aggressive. I'll fall way too far behind. I know that's your whole strategy, but like I'm too calm. The pressure doesn't get to me. My fantasy team, the Stay Hot fantasy team, this is the only fantasy league that I've ever like needed to be good in. And I'm going to win today, but I'm going to be like 2-4 and like 6th or 5th in points.
Yeah.
Total. So life isn't fair.
You're due for some positive regression. Also, Blaiden, you got to give Super Kurt, his points for Zach. Oh, they gave Zach Ertz his points. Okay, that's good.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that was super messed up. So what happened?
Explain that, because you were asking me like if I'm able to add points.
When Ertz got traded to the Cardinals, he didn't play this week because he can't play 2 games in 1 week.
Right.
So they ended up giving him 0 points because he didn't play in the Cardinals game, even though he put up 10. That was just a little glitch that happened, but they just worked it out. Yeah.
Is that going to end up being the difference in the game?
That is going to end up being the difference in the game. Blaiden is most likely going to lose, barring a really special performance.
I'm down 36 right now, and I have Stephon Diggs and A.J. Brown left.
So it's possible, but you're going to need a really big game from one of them.
Both of them, probably.
Or both. Yeah.
I'm up like 6.
I'm down 36. It's not like I'm down 20.
I'm 3-3 with Michael Thomas coming back. I got him right where I want him. I got him right where I want him. This is as much as I can ask for. I'm in the playoff conversation. I got my tight end Dalton Schultz. I'm gonna. Odell had a good week this week, so I'll be able to put out maybe a Kadarius Toney, Michael Thomas, Odell, or Marvin Jones or Pittman. Josh Jacobs has been a solid running back too. I've got Kamara. Josh Allen's schedule lightens up.
I just want Myles Gaskin to get the football. I just want Myles Gaskin.
That's another coaching mistake because he's their best running back. He's so good.
And he had the least touches of all of their running backs today. Why?
I don't get it. I do not get it.
I wonder why your running backs are so bad. It couldn't possibly be connected directly to your draft strategy.
And
my draft strategy was correct. Myles Gaskin was the best running back on that team.
Maybe you shouldn't have drafted your number 1 running back is
in the 4th round.
Like he's behind a terrible offensive line.
It would have worked out if you were a little bit more savvy in the free agency. If you could have picked up Khalil Herbert, if you could have picked up LaDainian Williamses of the world, because there are a lot of starting running backs down, but you haven't really taken advantage. And that's the whole idea behind zero RB is you're always kind of on top of the backups that eventually end up being starters. You have to be really on top of it.
I thought I was on top of it with Wayne Gallman, and then he ended up not doing anything. I thought I was on top of it with Nyheim Hines, who ended up not doing anything. But
you got to be more on top of it.
I had to pick up a tight end today because my backup was on a bye and Logan Thomas is hurt, and I picked up Ricky Seals-Jones after much internal debate. 4 catches, 60 yards, touchdown.
We take those.
It's the little things.
It is. Dalton Schultz. I dropped Gesicki, which may end up being a bad move. But it just did not.
Yards today, didn't he?
He did have 100 yards today. But Dalton Schultz is going to end as a top 10 tight end in fantasy, so I'm not too mad about that. I picked him up in free agency. You did pick up Gesicki, and
trade him to me.
It'll probably be a pretty good. Tua as a tight end quarterback.
Give me a
That's
running
all
back,
I'll
man.
say.
You can have Latavius Murray.
You can have James.
You're funny, man.
You can have James Conner for AJ Brown.
Now you guys are just trying to fleece me.
Yeah. Well, you'll need it because you're about to be 1-5 and at the bottom of the league. So it's either stay mediocre or make some moves here, Blaiden. All right.
I will
I think that
stay
does it for
mediocre,
today's
I guess.
episode.
I think so too.
Yeah. Nah, man, let's keep rambling. But that does wrap things up for us. As always, tons and tons of content coming your way on all platforms. We'll be back Friday to preview week 7 of the NFL. Don't miss out.
We'll be talking. Hold on, we'll be talking NBA too. NBA season starts.
Yes,
maybe
you guys will be talking
that a little
NBA.
bit, but I think NBA. We'll talk about it as it goes on a little bit.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
You guys know my conditions for me to pay attention to basketball this year. The Cavs have to be
really
good.
Dumb.
The Kings have to be good.
Can one of your conditions
Fox
be
has to be in
if you're on a sports podcast and you need to keep up so you can talk about the NBA?
I'll think about it.
Get into follow some NBA analytics pages. I'm sure they're out there.
You've always told me that you want to make like the Pro Football Focus of the NBA.
If I can
funny.
access-
one more thing. Someone asked me who like the PFF darlings if there was PFF basketball.
Oh, I saw that. You're so right about that.
And it's Gobert. It's so but like Gobert would like grade out so high every single year. And I want to find other guys that, and like I bet you like Curry would be like weirdly low. or like something like that? No,
because analytics guys love the 3 ball. So Curry would be like a perfect grade. What?
They love the long shot.
I don't know. I think that's a funny video
what are we
idea.
talking about?
They would love Klay Thompson.
Yep.
They'd love probably anyone who is a really good interior defender.
Really good 3-point shooter.
Because they would hate
LeBron.
No, they wouldn't. No, they would love LeBron.
I don't think so. I think they would hate good. I think they would hate aggressive passing.
No, they wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't.
I don't know. I feel like
I disagree 100%.
Because it leads to a lot of turnovers too.
They would like interior defense and shooting. Those would be the 2 main things they would care about. Interior defense is kind of underrated on how much it impacts the defense.
But back to my point, to Matt's point about me wanting to make a PFF of basketball, the whole thing was like we were going to apply to PFF to gain access to this book of like the guy who developed PFF grades wrote this book on how he did it. And I wanted access to that book so that way I could see every aspect of how he did it and then replicate it for other sports.
You were going to steal his idea?
Yeah.
That's tough. I was going to apply there because I needed the money.
Seth Galea just followed me on Twitter. I hope he's not listening to this right now.
Yeah, PFF, if you're listening to this, that was a joke.
Karl Anthony Towns. I know that's not the interior defense one, but they would love Karl Anthony Towns.
They would hate turnovers. They would punish them too severely, I bet.
Ooh, and I got a maybe an all-time guy, Reggie Miller. I know it would just be who the analytics community loves. Reggie Miller. Because again, like shooting isn't underrated. Like everyone knows shooting's super important, but it is still underrated. It's weird how it works. Kevin Garnett would be another guy that they would love all time. I
love Kevin Garnett all time. Yeah, I think this would be a good video idea, but we got to wrap this up. This has been kind of an awkward, kind of a rambly ending, but it's been fun.
Just like I predicted. But as always, from Corn Boy, Gambling Addiction Boy, and Lemon Boy,
I won my bets. It's only a problem if you lose.
It's only an addiction problem if you're bad at it. But as always, here are the Stay Hot shoutouts, and we will catch you all on the flippity flop.
Jake, Pennsylvania Broncos fan. Rough day. We lost 10 of the Raiders. I don't even know. Our only chance is to beat Cleveland this Thursday. Fuck this game.
Hey, my name is Evan. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. And holy fucking shit. The Packers just got a goddamn turnover because of a no call on an offsides, and he just put up the fucking ball. And then right after that, the fucking Packers get a call because Rodgers grabbed a player's face mask, but Mario Edwards Jr. fucking talked a little bit of shit. Jesus Christ.
The Carolina Panthers suck. The front office sucks. Every aspect of that team is in the garbage. They're oh my fucking gosh, I can't even conform a sentence. They are pissing me off, man.
The Niners are so frustrating. Shanahan put way too much pressure on Lance, and of course the offense put him in a hole every time. Now the first drive was horrible by Lance. Those are the worst throw I think I've ever seen. But the news drop ball, the holding calls, 3rd and 20 every freaking time. And then we're going for it on every 4th down, not kicking field goals, playing way too aggressive. And the one-timer defense looks shut down. Our injured defense, we, of course, only put up 10 points. This isn't Lance's fault. This is Shanahan and the rest of the offense.